EU chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier has lambasted the UK for imposing a short deadline for trade talks and then refusing to budge on key issues, but the UK has accused the EU of not treating it as an independent state. Speaking at a Brussels news conference following the conclusion of the second round of negotiations on the future EU-UK relationship, Mr. Barnier listed areas where there had been disappointing progress. Without an extension to the Brexit transition period, during which the UK is continuing with the status quo of EU membership, both sides have until the end of this year to strike a trade deal. If an agreement is not reached, tariffs and quotas could be imposed on goods travelling between the EU and UK. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has so far resisted pressure to extend the transition period beyond the end of December, despite calls for him to do so amid the coronavirus pandemic. After outlining those areas where little progress had been achieved in the latest round of talks, which were conducted by video conference, Mr. Barnier said, "It's exceptional. Never in the history for such important negotiations with any third country have we been under such time pressure. The UK, therefore, cannot impose this short, brief timeline and at the same time not budge, make progress, on some topics that are of importance to the EU." Backlash as UK confirms it will leave EU aviation safety regulator. The next negotiating rounds are scheduled for 11th of May and 1st of June. The terms of the UK's withdrawal agreement from the EU, which was ratified in January, allow an extension of up to 2 years to the transition period. However, this has to be agreed before 1st of July. A UK government spokesperson described the latest negotiating round as full and constructive but admitted limited progress was made in bridging the gaps between us and the EU. They added there was regret that the EU's offer on goods trade falls well short of recent precedent and free trade agreements it has agreed with other sovereign countries. There are also significant differences of principle in other areas, including fisheries, the spokesperson said. They continued, "For example, we will not make progress on the so-called level playing field and the governance provisions until the EU drops its insistence on imposing conditions on the UK which are not found in the EU's other trade agreements and which do not take account of the fact that we have left the EU as an independent state." Mr. Barnier warned that genuine progress would need to be made by June if, by the end of the year, a deal is to be struck commensurate to the level of our economic interdependence and geographical proximity. He accused the UK, whose negotiating team is led by Mr. Johnson's EU advisor David Frost, of not committing seriously on a number of fundamental points from the political declaration on a future UK-EU relationship, which was previously agreed by both sides. Mr. Barnier said the political declaration needs to be implemented in a serious, objective, legal way, adding, "This is not the case now yet in a number of areas. I regret that and it worries me." He listed 4 areas, including justice, fisheries and the so-called level playing field on rules and standards, where progress had been disappointing. This week, the UK failed to engage substantially on these topics, Mr. Barnier said. It argued that our positions are too far apart to reach agreement. It also denounced the basic premise that economic interconnectedness and geographic proximity require robust guarantees. Yet again, this is what we agreed with Boris Johnson in our joint political declaration. Mr. Barnier also reiterated that the UK would have to pay a lump sum contribution to the EU budget if the transition period is extended beyond 31st of December.